Hello friends, this is Ryan Hicks of TaughtToProfit.com. I want to talk to you today about a trend that's going right now. It's called How to Confuse a Millennial. And it ranges from people making excuses for why some millennials are not succeeding. And on the other hand, it's got people making fun of millennials for being lazy or dumb or whatever. None of these things are true. The reality is every generation has its own set of unique problems to it. And every generation likes to think their generation is better than the generation that came after them. And this is kind of a common thing throughout history. It happens in any country. The older people think they generally were smarter and had a harder time and overcame more. The reality is every generation has its own unique issues to it. Many of them are very similar issues. They're just wrapped up in new packaging. But like some of the excuses were, well, tell them to go out and get a job and then buy a house, but then there's no houses and no jobs. Well, this is kind of an issue because there is an old mentality of go to college, get a job, and work for 40 years and then retire. That doesn't work today, and it hasn't worked in many years, and people are learning this, and there's still people holding out thinking that still works, and it doesn't work. For most people, college is not the best idea for you. It's a bad idea. And so yes, if you're listening to bad ideas that don't work anymore, you're going to have issues. And that's not a millennial issue. That's anybody listening to bad ideas is going to have problems. And it's needless problems too. Here's one of the people say, how to confuse a millennial: continuously blame them for problems that were created by generations before them. Well, this is true in a lot of respects, because if the generation coming after you is bad, that's a direct result of your generation's parenting. So there is some truth to that, but still that goes to blame someone else. In this life, you are responsible for your actions. You are responsible for where your life ends up. You are responsible for how things go in your life. It's easy to blame everyone, previous generations, the current generation, the government, the economy, this and that. Blame everyone except for yourself. And I'm not even telling you to blame yourself. I'm just telling you to recognize that the only person that cares enough to control and change and adapt and make you a better person and make your life better is you. So you have to make those changes. You can't blame other people. And blaming other people just puts off the solution onto other people. If you are the problem, that's a bad thing, yes, but it's also a good thing because then you can make changes. You can't change other people if they're the reason your life is bad, but you can change yourself if you are the cause of the issues in your life. And you are, in the end, you are the cause of the issues going on in your life. Another person says, tell them how college loans, debt, a degree, and hard work will earn them a job. How to confuse a millennial. Well, this is back to that old mentality, and it's wrong in the first place. First thing, college loans are really enormous and terrible in many cases, especially when if you're going to spend 40 grand for 4 years of your life, that's the most important part of that variable, is the 4 years of your life spent, and you spend 40 grand or more. Some people are spending 100 grand on going to college, and then you get out of it. All you have to show for it, while you do have some education, which is good, really the only thing you have to show is a piece of paper saying you completed something, which is a good thing. But the problem is, in the United States right now, there's over 90 million people that are of working age out of the workforce. Many of these people with much better qualifications than you may have coming out of college. Listen, I didn't go to college, I didn't graduate high school, and I can hire people with master's degrees that spent tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars in some cases on their education, and I'm hiring them. They aren't hiring me, I'm hiring them. Here's the reality. Going to college is not setting you up to be a good business person. It's not setting you up for the best in life. Yes, there are certain occupations you need a college degree, but the reality is, stop listening to this nonsense. Don't just go to college because someone told you to have to go to college. Education is great, but if you're going to college because you think that's going to lead to a career and a job and a great life, you are sadly mistaken. And that's something that should be put off of the millennials, because they weren't the ones that told other people that. They were told that. Oh, you got to go to college. You got to go to college. Everywhere around them is telling them going to college is some accomplishment and it's going to make your life better. And the reality is, it's not true. A better idea would be to take that money you're going to spend on college, invest that in a business or multiple businesses, and spend that 4 years building something. You have much more of a chance of attaining some sort of level of success doing that than you do going to college in most cases. Now, I'm not saying don't go to college, do whatever you want to do, but don't think going to college is going to make you a success in life. It isn't. And in many cases, it may only be a hindrance and a complete waste of your time. I've known many people who have graduated college, spent tens of thousands of dollars, and told me point blank it was a waste of their time. Besides some of the people they met and the education, it otherwise didn't do anything for their lives. And that's pretty tragic. So this idea of vilifying millennials is just a terrible idea. Why do generations like to do this? If your generation that followed you, that came from you, that you raised is bad, the blame lies with you, not them. And I'm saying we don't need to blame anyone. We don't need to blame previous generations. We don't need to blame the current generation. What we need to do is take responsibility for our own actions, for our own life, not blame other people, not blame ourselves, not look for other external reasons for why we are not successful. Let's find what we can do right. If we're doing anything wrong, let's change that and correct that. But let's look for what we can do right, how we can magnify the areas where we're doing well in and minimize the areas where we're not succeeding in, or bring those levels we're not succeeding in up to successful levels. This blaming of other people, blaming millennials, blaming baby boomers, blaming everyone is never going to get you ahead in this life. It may make you feel good emotionally for the moment because you get to blame someone else and you get to take responsibility off your shoulders. But in the end, whether you're a baby boomer blaming millennials, millennials blaming someone else, or anyone blaming anyone, and also blaming yourself, just change. Make the changes that are needed to bring you about the life you want. Stop blaming everyone else. Stop blaming yourself. Start taking responsibility and changing what you can change to bring about the life that you want to live. This constant mentality people have of blaming each other, shaming each other, and all this stuff is not good. And it's not a way to go through life. You're not going to become successful doing that. May God bless you richly.